puta. I've been watching this team for about 30 years, the Colombian national team. And World Cups, Copa America, qualifiers, youth level, main level, women's team. And you would think that at this point, maybe it would get easier to be disappointed, but it never is. It never gets easier. And sadly, I was enjoying this ride. We launched this project, the Colombian Soccer Show, around the World Cup, basically. Thinking that, of course, with the World Cup here, Colombia maybe can make a run and we can build this project off of a memorable World Cup run. And it started that way. And if you've been following us, and thank you for doing so, it's been very promising. I think we've talked about things that were lacking, missing, or just need to be improved upon. But from an emotional standpoint, it looked pretty well. I even ventured out yesterday when we recorded the preview. about what could come after today, right? After a Colombia win. And we dare to fantasize about maybe even reaching the Final Four. And then it didn't happen. And then today, everything as it's happened for Colombia now for the better part of their history, pretty much. And especially the better part of the last 40 years, things just don't happen. And things just come crashing down in a screeching halt. And here we are, Colombia, out of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Thank you for joining us. We're live on YouTube for the first time. We are also on Facebook. Thank you again, everybody, for watching. Whether you're watching live, whether you're watching after the fact, which I know most of you do. Thank you so much for everybody who's watching today, who's been watching all along from the preview of the first game against Uzbekistan up until now. The bitter end. But you're here, and I'm here, and we're here, and the whole point is this. Not just to analyze, but also just to grieve, basically, together, right? So I want your comments. Thank you again for joining us. We're live on YouTube. Make sure, if you haven't done so, to subscribe. Thank you for those who've done it. Like this stream as well so more people can discover the stream and the algorithm can show this broadcast to more people so they can also hop along into this community. If you're on Facebook, leave your comments as well. I want this to be a platform for anyone just to leave something, right? Don't have to be for me. You can just unleash your fury and your frustrations in our comment section. So make sure to do so for sure. And if you do it during the time that I'm live, I'll make sure to read and I'll make sure to go through this with you because we're gonna go through this together because it is the bitter end, sadly, for Colombia in this World Cup. Let me make this bigger. There we go. Not that I want to remind everybody, but yes, Colombia again in penalty kicks. Just like in 2018, the last time that Colombia were in a World Cup, in the round of 16, Colombia falls short from the penalty spot. Colombia falls short, missing a goal that should have been it. Colombia falls short against the European team. Colombia falls short when expectations are high, and Colombia falls short when there is a wide open window to really make a run in this World Cup beyond even what Colombia achieved in 2014, reaching the quarterfinals. What's there to say? I mean, again, I can talk about tactics, I can talk about matchups, I can talk about what happened on the field, I can bring the SofaScore website, but I'm not going to because ultimately this is such a painful situation and Colombia, I think, really lost this one on two things. Number one, on fitness. Colombia died, fitness wise, basically. Actually, three things. There's a very important one that I forgot, but I'll mention it. Number one, fitness. Too many players who were just on their last legs. This was the first time that Colombia faced extra time, so it wasn't like Colombia were dragging their legs to this stage, but by the time even the end of the second half came, you can see players just not at their level, making silly mistakes because there's just not enough oxygen in their brain. And extra time was almost similar. Colombia were able to bounce back and get a second, a third, and even a fourth wind after the hydration breaks, second half, and both halves of overtime, extra time. But it wasn't enough. Number two, the one thing that Colombia could not do enough of, which is finishing. Gustavo Puerta had a pretty nice shot in the first half, but man, if you're Hamilton Campas, you can't miss that shot. If you didn't watch the game or if you missed it, Hamilton Campas had a pretty clear chance that should have won the game and should have had us here celebrating and looking ahead to Saturday. Instead, he had a one-on-one shot at glory, at getting rid of the Swiss, at avoiding the penalty kicks, And with his left foot and a clear view at goal at Kobel, the goalkeeper, he sailed it high. And then in PKs, can't finish either. If you're Davinson Sanchez, if you're Cucho Hernandez. And it just brings back so many memories from 2018, right? And the penalties that Colombia missed, Carlos Baca, Mateus Uribe, and all that jazz. All the same feelings and the same frustrations just keep coming back. And the third reason was ultimately what I had feared, and so many had feared, would be the reason for Colombia not to have a successful World Cup. And that was Lorenzo's game management. The coach played a huge hand in this one, especially from the way he managed the first reason, which was the fitness, how he managed substitutions, how he managed adjustments in this game. Colombia sadly died at the hands of their coach. So that's the really the big conclusion. And it was just sad because again, Colombia showed against Ghana, we talked about it last week, that they were able to overcome not being the most physical team, not being the strongest team, not being the fastest team in a lot of ways, but they were able to hold up. But of course, when you make the leap in talent from Ghana to the Swiss and Switzerland, I even talked about it here on the preview, and I even fantasized about the fact that the Swiss were missing Manzambi, the young 20-year-old who'd been the best player for them, the top scorer with 3 goals. Ruben Vargas, who ended up playing the game, didn't come on until the second half because of fitness concerns. Luka Jacques, the center back, he was out. Michael Ebischer, he was out in the midfield. And even Dan and Doy, who ended up playing most of the regular time, also was iffy. And I thought, and if you've watched the reel on Instagram and TikTok, and if you need to follow us so you don't miss that content either, I even said, were the stars aligning for Colombia because of things they can't control, like opponent fitness? And even that wasn't enough for Colombia to win this game to make the quarterfinals. So there's just so many layers of frustration. And again, if you've been watching Colombia for a while, you know the feeling, and it never gets easier. There's no, oh, it happened again. There's no, oh, it's another loss and we'll just move on, right? There's none of that. No matter what. And I've been through Colombia failing to qualify for World Cups 3 in a row, 02, 06, and 10. And Colombia having horrible Copa Americas. And my first World Cup in France 98, Colombia were pretty bad for the most part, out in the first round. Then you get to, for example, Brazil, right? And Brazil was magical, quarterfinals, and there was still that thorn about we could have beat that Brazil team that ended up just collapsing against Germany. 2018, I mentioned it before. We respected the British too much, the English too much. We gave him too much benefit of the doubt, and we ended up losing after an epic tying goal by Jerry Mina that we will never forget. We fall on penalty kicks when the pressure's really on. Lose out on 2022, and now we're here. 2 years removed from another one of the biggest heartbreaks, which was losing the final of Copa America 2024, when Colombia were riding such a high emotionally, and we were able to actually think of a world in which Colombia won a trophy in the times of James and Luis Diaz and Ospina and all these guys that really came together under Nestor Lorenzo over the last 4 years and were able to build something really good. And no matter how good it got, we always end up in sadness and disappointment. And that's as a Colombia fan, and I know that I have a lot of friends, a lot of fans watching from countries like Mexico and countries like even the US and Portugal and the Netherlands and Belgium, who've experienced the expectations, right, and the hope that finally there's a good generation and there's a good thing happening on the field, and it's just something happens and the team just falls short. And that's where we are with Colombia. That's where we are. So again, let me know what you guys think because it's really bad. It feels horrible. I want to go back to Lorenzo and his coaching because I gave him credit after the Ghana game because I said, so far he was the biggest question mark for me. I didn't trust really that he was going to be the kind of coach to rally the team and pick up the level in a matter of just a couple of weeks because in March this team was in shambles after getting destroyed by Croatia and getting destroyed by France's second and third squads basically in the friendlies. Then we only had we had the Costa Rica game, which was just a sparring session, the big farewell in Bogota, and then the Jordan game, which was again something that was mostly for preparation for the debut against Uzbekistan. But we haven't seen Colombia play at a high level since 2024, and the group stage happens, and we start seeing shades of it more and more, and the team is improving and improving and improving. We get to Portugal, and Colombia didn't win. We could have if it wasn't for Davison Sanchez's toes, but against a tough opposition with elite players, Colombia play better, and Colombia prove that they're capable of challenging the bigger teams, and they come in first place, and they get the better half of the draw. They get Ghana, and they beat Ghana in a tough matchup in the 90 minutes, 1-0. And then we're all thinking, like we were doing just hours ago, days ago, we got something here. And we see the other teams in the World Cup, like Spain, like Argentina. We see Brazil getting bounced. We see the host countries getting bounced. Um, we see England struggling against the Congo. And we're thinking, and we see Germany getting bounced. And I'm thinking to myself, man, there's a big window here and a runway for Colombia to actually do something that I didn't think was going to happen, honestly. Again, because of the coaching mostly, but because of the level that the team has shown since after Copa America. And the chances are there and the opportunity is there, and we can't take advantage again. So it is what it is, right? It really is what it is. And again, it doesn't make it any less painful. In fact, it might make it even more painful, just like it happened in Copa America because we were right here. We were right here, this close to doing something special, to equaling Brazil 2024 and even surpassing it. Because I'm convinced that this time Colombia, had they won today and had they faced Argentina, Colombia would have had all the chances in the world to beat Argentina and go to a semifinal against either Norway or England. So yeah, so it stinks. But Colombia, let's talk a little about the game itself, because it was tough. I mean, it was 90 minutes plus 30 more minutes of just suffering, of just squeezing, and of anxiety and tension, and really was, I'm pretty sure for the neutral fan it was a pretty boring game, and especially after what happened this morning with Argentina. That was insane. You now go to this very, very tight game. It's 0-0. The Swiss are not giving an inch. Colombia's not giving an inch. And it really was just tension all around. The first 30 minutes I thought were pretty encouraging. It was pretty interesting because there's been a big debate, of course, about the hydration breaks, right, and the usage of them, and how, of course, FIFA and the partners are taking advantage of it just to squeeze more commercial breaks into the broadcast or whatever. But in this game, I feel like it's really turned the tides for both teams. I've actually read some statistics about the big influence that hydration breaks have had throughout the World Cup in swinging momentum. And I feel like this happened very noticeably, especially in the first half, because Colombia had it, man. Colombia were doing the things that I was hoping they were gonna do, and we talked about in the preview. And I was curious about how Colombia were gonna approach it because I figured after watching the Swiss, Colombia, if they can actually break quickly and get to the Swiss box with the ball after getting possession back, not allowing the Swiss to get into their block, right? Colombia would have a shot. And we did, and Colombia did, and Colombia were doing that for the first about 27 minutes before the first break, and it looked pretty promising. And Puerta has that one curling shot that would have been incredible and would have been such a reward, man. And I feel so bad because that would have been a perfect reward for who arguably has been Colombia's best player in the World Cup. And we'll do a little exercise at the end talking about the players, right? Who was good, who was bad, and so forth. But Puerta, man, that would have been awesome if he scored. That would have been incredible for him because he's deserved that for sure. And then the break happens, and then the Swiss take the ball back, and that's where the struggle begins. And the Swiss get closer and closer. You see the block getting closer to Colombia's box. Granit Xhaka was really good in this game. He was really good, and I feared that he would be because with a midfield that has James in it, it's hard to be able to control the midfield when you have Freuler and Xhaka, and Xhaka is moving all over the place. He wasn't just static in one place being the pivot. He was moving up and down. He was combining. He was helping the center backs. He was helping the fullbacks. So he was never just in one place, and Colombia struggled to keep up with him. Jefferson Lerma struggled to keep up, and that's something that carried over from the Ghana game. His fitness, he ended up not lasting the full 90 minutes in this game. Had to be subbed out for Richard Rios, who again didn't do jack squat in this game. Rios' World Cup is forgettable, forgettable. Eventually, Quintero comes in the game. He wasn't as brilliant that he was against Ghana, and you can tell that maybe the moment was getting to him or the tension was getting to him. I don't know. But he came in, didn't provide much. Another guy who sadly couldn't do anything was Luis Diaz. And I feel bad because I've talked about it all along, and I gave him every benefit of the doubt. And I pleaded for patience with Luis Diaz because we knew again that he was getting the looks, he was making the runs, he was making the efforts, and it just wasn't happening. He had 3 or 4 goals disallowed in the World Cup. So we knew that he was getting there, but I was also concerned with him about his fitness because as the World Cup progressed, we saw Luis Diaz getting more tired, more tired. His one-on-one moves were not as effective. His shooting wasn't as effective. You can tell he was just running out of oxygen and legs. And today it happened again. And today he didn't have the looks that he's had in previous games. So Luis Diaz, I just have to say, and it breaks my heart, but a disappointment. He's our best player, man. And he had 1 goal and 1 assist in this World Cup. And as the game wore on, then again, it became more about attrition and it became more about the physical aspect of it, the fitness aspect of it, and the Swiss had us all the way through into extra time. And Colombia again were able to get a little wind in their sails after the different breaks, and there were flashes of Colombia getting the goal, getting shots in, getting corner kicks, um, but it just didn't happen. And then the Campas thing is just unexcusable. You don't miss that in the World Cup. And sadly, because again, another player that we highlighted here on the Colombian Soccer Show, you can go to Instagram and TikTok. We did a little reel, a little video about his story, Campas, and how after he got his goal against Uzbekistan, this was very much a redemption story for Campas. And now he's going to go down in infamy after that miss. And I feel bad because he's still young, right? Because Campas is somebody who I think is still in the radar. He's only 26, so for 2030, next cycle, he's pretty much a player, but it's gonna be hard to live this down. He's gonna have to do a lot to redeem himself after this one. And I really hope that it's not a situation where, he gets destroyed, and as always happens with Colombia, that social media becomes a cesspool and we just destroy people. It's one thing to be frustrated and to be angry, but we can't just be going on and just, again, running people down and destroying them and insulting them on social media or whatever. At the end of the day, they're human beings. So Campas is one that's, I think, it's gonna be one for the future, at least the immediate future. Um, and the team just died a death, and this is where Lorenzo came in, and I think he failed because how do you justify going 120 minutes and using 5 of the 6 substitutions? How do you not use one substitution when Daniel Munoz is dead, when Luis Diaz is dead, when Jonathan Mojica is struggling? And Mojica, I thought had a really good game in this one. The Swiss really got us from Munoz's side. You can tell Munoz was absolutely just empty in his gas tank by the end of the 90 minutes, let alone the end of the actual extra time. So I thought, again, Santiago Arias should have come in, give us some support, really try to stop the Swiss. Of course, again, it's all a moot point because the game went to penalty kicks, but Lorenzo, just, you cannot excuse that, man. You can't really justify using Richard Rios as much when you have somebody like Jorge Carrascal, who, if you want to risk it all, and Lorenzo risked a lot because Rios came in for Lerma. Puerta, who was also starting to struggle fitness wise, ended up being the holding mid. So it's Rios and Quintero and Campas and Luis Diaz and Cucho Hernandez, who came in for Luis Suarez way too late for Luis Suarez when Suarez was just also shot and ineffective. If you're going to risk it all, do it with Carrascal, man. Or do it with Portilla, who is also a similar profile to Puerta, who can give you up and down, box to box action and support. But Rios, and what an epic fall for Richard Rios, because from a guy who was immovable in the 11, right, in the Copa America, to this, boy, especially on defense, man, he and James were just liabilities of the worst kind. It was bad to see. And thankfully, Camilo Vargas, and he closes his chapter as well after 3 World Cups. Um, Thankfully on a high note. So I think when it comes to Camilo Vargas, we can't say anything bad because he saved us multiple times. He had that incredible save against Bruno Fernandes, point blank, got a hand in it, saved us from a defeat. And in the penalty kicks, he almost had a couple, especially the first one, man. The first one was so close, so close. The one that Granit Xhaka shot, man, that would have been amazing, but it didn't happen. So again, Colombia are out. If you're joining us now, thank you for joining us. Um, so let's talk a little bit about these players. I'm gonna pull up the roster really quick just to do a bit of a breakdown because it can't be all bad, right? It can't be all bad. Um, I talked about Lorenzo. He has to be done. I'm actually gonna check really quick on X just to see if we've heard anything from him as far as his future. Which again, I think the right thing to do is he's gotta go. Whether he leaves, he steps down, or the federation get him out. I think it's been 4 years. It's been good, man. And Colombia have to step up, and we need to step up and a level up as far as the coaching is concerned. So I'm trying to check here, and I don't see anything yet. I'm seeing pictures of players crying, Luis Diaz crying, and Quintero crying, and again, it's just it's Groundhog Day. How many times we have to go through this before Colombia have a semblance of joy? Before Colombia win a tournament of any kind, really, and we can actually fulfill potential and we can actually celebrate as a country. Um, I'm checking right now, but no, it's yeah, no, I don't think he's saying there's nothing about Lorenzo's future. Um, let's start with him. We'll do a little bit of the breakdown of the roster with him. So up and down. I mean, I think it's pretty much the simplest way I can put it with Lorenzo. He built something special leading up to the Copa America. I'll give him that. I'll recognize that he built something really good after the shambles that Colombia were in, coming from the unbelievable elimination from the World Cup in 2022. And then things just, again, broke down. Colombia sputtered into this World Cup. Colombia were able to build something again and just crash back down. So just up and down from Lorenzo. And I think the best way I can sum it up is again, I think appreciate it all, but it's time to go. We need something better heading into a new cycle. As far as the goalkeepers, again, Vargas was really good. So thumbs up for Vargas. On defense, I think Sanchez, probably the best player in the World Cup for Colombia. Sanchez was impeccable. And it's also very sad because, again, what's everybody going to be talking about today? The penalty kick that he missed off the post. So, a great World Cup marred by falling short when we needed Davinson Sanchez the most. But 30 years old, he'll keep going. Lukumi, same. A very good World Cup for Lukumi, and I think that's gonna send them into a bigger club in Europe. And we'll talk about transfers later down the road in the coming weeks. But Lukumi and Sanchez, very little of anything to talk about them. Uh, Daniel Munoz, who started really well and kind of plateaued. Of course, he ended up being Colombia's top scorer in the World Cup. Amazingly enough, he showed again what he is. Right in the attack, Munoz is fantastic. I think one of the best in the world, really, from right back standpoint. But defensively, he constantly was a liability, and teams constantly were able to get to Colombia from that side, from the right side. But I think overall, Munoz, thumbs up. Johan Mojica, I think was kind of the opposite because Mojica went from struggling at first to improving to, I think, having his best game today. And Mojica, 33 years old, I think that's it for him as well. Santiago Arias, the one game he played against Portugal, he did an okay job. He did a fine job. So everything else was good. Same thing with Machado, David Machado. In the midfield, Lerma, very good until he ran out of gas. Rios was a disaster all throughout. Castaño only played a few minutes, so what's even the point? We talk about, that's it. No, I mean, from the holding mids, Gustavo Puerta. I think if Sanchez is the MVP, he's number 2. Lucumí number 3. Vargas number 4. Puerta was the breakout, and that's really important. And again, we'll talk about the future next week, but The fact that we saw Puerta earn a starting 11 position over Richard Rios and also show why he did it and show Colombia they have a midfielder for the future is one of the few positives from today and from this campaign. So that's something to look forward to and to be thankful for about Gustavo Puerta, who again should make a leap into a bigger club. There's rumors about FC Porto. We'll talk about that again next week. John Arias. He was as good as he was allowed to be, which is the story of his Colombia national team career. I really enjoyed John Arias in this World Cup, man. He was everywhere. He was active. He was back to being the better version of himself in the World Cup. So looking forward to having John Arias around. And I'm sad for him because, again, a guy that put the effort in. And it just didn't happen for him. Portilla didn't feature. Carrascal didn't feature, which I cannot explain to you why it didn't happen. Andres Gomez, they got a few minutes maybe, but again, non-factor in this World Cup. James. Let's talk James. And we'll dedicate a whole episode to him because he deserves a whole breakdown just about his career in Colombia and at the club level too. In this World Cup, up and down. I talked about it before. Colombia couldn't come into the World Cup relying on him. And we did. Right? He was able to do something noticeable against Portugal, had his best game there. Today, non-factor. Against Uzbekistan, non-factor. Against Ghana, blips on the radar. Against the Congo, same. So, what's there to say? Luis Diaz, I think I broke it down earlier. Again, I think it's a disappointment. Because ultimately, as much as he tried, as much as effort he made, and I am the biggest fan of his because of that, he didn't produce. Ultimately, being one of the best wingers in the world, he didn't produce as much as Colombia expected him to do so. John Cordova barely did anything. Same thing with Suarez. Disappointment from Suarez. And defensively, again, I was impressed with his effort. He killed himself today. He killed himself against Ghana. But, baby, we brought you to score the goals. And he didn't. So, that goes to him and Cucho Hernandez. So, sadly, it ends in disappointment for Colombia. And that's all I can say as a whole. Again, we'll have a chance to look into the future and we'll do that exercise coming up next Monday, this coming Monday, because I think it's an interesting situation for Colombia because we don't have that many young players on this squad. Colombia came in, I think, averaging about 28 years of age. So as far as this World Cup squad, again, there's a handful of players that we can actually project towards 2030. So we'll do that exercise. I know that everybody's going to do it, so join us to do that. And again, if you're watching this, just leave the comments, man. Leave us your comments. Leave us your frustrations here. That's what this is about. So make sure to do that. Make sure to also follow us as we wrap this up on social media. Again, we're on YouTube. Thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Subscribe, because this is not the end. The Colombian Soccer Show will be here for all things Colombian soccer, national team, men's and women's. We'll have club as well. Colombians abroad. If you follow Bayern Munich, Crystal Palace, Juventus, all the teams that feature Colombian players, this is the place for you to learn more about them. If you have a Colombian player potentially joining your team during this transfer window, be here, because I'll be the one to tell you what to expect and for you to know about those players a little bit better. So here on YouTube, we'll be tracking the transfer window, any developments with the national team heading forward, and the club season, which is, it's going to be coming up anytime now. Follow us on Facebook as well. We have content there. We'll be live there hopefully pretty soon. We have some issues, so we're here on YouTube, but on Facebook we'll have content for you as well. Thank you for everybody who's joined us, who've watched our videos. Hundreds of people so far. Also, thank you to the thousands who've watched us on Instagram and TikTok. All the content throughout the World Cup. Thank you for following us. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for participating. If you haven't done so, make sure to jump over to Instagram and TikTok and follow us, the Colombian Soccer Show, because again, we'll have plenty of content once club season rolls around, once news happen when it comes to the Colombia national team, men's and women's. We'll be there. So follow us. And it's sad because I wish our last broadcast would have been much later, but it is what it is. So join us on Monday night. We'll be here live on YouTube as we analyze the future of this Colombian national team. We'll talk potential managers, if Lorenzo is on his way out or if he's been already ousted. We'll talk about which players Colombia need to build around from this World Cup squad. We'll talk about which players that were not on this squad we can expect Colombia to incorporate and build as we head now towards Copa America 2028, as we head now towards the World Cup in 2026 or 2030, I should say, the centennial of the World Cup. So join us because we'll do the exercise and I want your opinion on that as well. And we'll see you again live on YouTube Monday the 13th. If you want to join the conversation too, make sure to email us as well. Send us your questions. I'll make sure to read them on the air. And also be on the lookout because we should be going live pretty soon also via podcast form. So Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, we'll be launching that pretty soon. So make sure to also join us there. I'll have more information on that on Monday. So again, thank you for joining us throughout this entire World Cup. I'm really sorry about the bitter end, but thank you for joining me on this ride. It is not over. We'll see you again next Monday here on the Colombian Soccer Show.